Hi, I'm James, and today we're going to have a look at this book, Big B's Glory of the Giants, published by Wizards of the Coast. It's the latest supplement for D&D, and it features giants fairly predictably, complete with a name that comes well from the past if you're a seasoned D&D player, Big B of the various hand fames. So let's have a look. So let's have a quick flick through what we've got. Got quite a nice looking cover. You really lose the effect with the golden goose there without the wraparound. We've got the alternative cover. I like to have the standard ones because then they all look the same on the shelves. As ever, let's have a look at the disclaimer. This is always usually pretty good. Big B accepts no responsibility for injuries sustained by adventurers who seek out the glory of the giants without proper preparation, including but not limited to lightning strikes, fall from cloud castles, incineration, hypothermia, crushing boulders, or being sat upon. Okay, I like that. And you can see there we've got the full-size illustration. So we've got the contents page. You know, I always like it when you see contents pages. Diane Castra's saga, so we find out a little bit about Diane Castra. A lot of this is done with little notes with Big B and Diane Castra making sort of little notes. I like that. It makes it more an in-game, an in-world sort of thing. So it gives you an overview. Talks about the different legends. So you got Anatom and the Giants explaining about the Ordning. If you've played Storm King's Thunder, you'll know a lot about that. Looks at some of the linked creatures like Fomorians, Death Giants, Trolls and Ogres, things like that. Talks about the different worlds and how they work in each of the different worlds. Giant runes, and I like the way they did this. I've always liked this. I know it's not new information, but I do like the fact that each of the runes isn't a letter, it's actually a whole concept. So shield, mountain, life, journey and so on. What this means is you can't actually write giant. They actually use dwarf runes to actually get an alphabetic script. I did quite like that. So one of my favourite illustrations there, where you've got the death of Big B and modern Canaan alongside him there. Like that one, just a nice little touch and a little sarcastic comment from Big B about it. You've got a subclass. You've got the Barbarian Path of the Giant, where basically you grow. It's sort of a nice variant on Raging. I quite like that. Only one new subclass. Backgrounds. You've got a couple. You've got giant foundlings, so you were brought up by giants. And a rune caster. I quite like the rune casting magic. We've seen so many iterations of this over the years. This is a fairly simple one, and it works well enough. So we then talk about sort of various bits and pieces. So we look at things like birthplaces, hometowns, some new feats. So we've got a few new ones of those. The Rune Shaper is probably the big one, because obviously that gives you your rune magic. You learn different spells effectively. There's nothing new, they're all sort of standard spells, but you then get access to it. And that is all the new rules. Now, this is where you pay your money and you take your choice. Do you like rules heavy? Do you like rules light? I find that the biggest problem is with rules is you end up with 27 books that you're trying to cross match, and they expand and expand and expand till you hit the point where it's an unplayable game, and what then happens is we get a new edition. You can obviously limit how much you do, but because I'm not a huge fan of having lots of new types, that suits me down to the ground. Some players and DMs would prefer them, so it's a dungeon. It's up to you and your dungeon master how far you go with that. But don't buy this book if you're looking for sort of the feats and character types. So we've got a bit then on how to role play giants. You know, various behaviours, some names, things about the ordering, the gods and religion of giants, interloper gods, which is quite a nice little bit there. You can see there we've got an example of Big Beast put a comment in, and then Diane Castra's sort of replied to it. You've got various adventure hooks and things like that. So that's quite nice. Again, more lovely artwork. We've got giant adventures. So we've got each type of giant. We've got a brief encounter for, or set of encounters for, including dinosaur world, elemental encounters, all the details like that. So then you come into adventures. So you've got various adventure hooks for different things, or delving into the past, giant-sized schemes. Again, all the lovely artwork. I mean, it's one of the strengths. Although obviously this book has had the controversy of the AI-generated art. Okay, I'm a bit ambivalent about it. I can see that why people might sometimes want to use it, particularly if you're at home. However, published adventures, I can see why there's a bit of a backlash against it. So yeah, I can see the logic. So then we move on to the giant enclaves. These are quite nice. You get a one-page map and a one-page sort of background, complete with magical effects and so on. Some adventure hooks. They're quite nice ones. I don't like the maps to be a bit more colourful, but hey, they do the job. You can see it's quite a few of these. I'll skip by them. And they cover sort of pretty much all the different things you'd probably expect to find. So then we move on to giant treasures. What would you find in a giant's bag? I like that touch. That's quite nice. We've got some sort of relics. We're talking about art objects, gems, the magic items, which there's quite a variety. You've got sort of right the way from something that belonging to a Nam through to simpler armour of safeguarding. Why does that look somewhat similar to one I've seen on a certain film lately? Longbow of the Healing Hearth, that's quite an interesting one. These were quite good. I did quite like these. Prehistoric figurines of wondrous power. If you look at them, they're more dinosaur based. Similar sort of concept to the figurines of wondrous power, but they're different animals. And nice section. Some nice ideas. Thunderbus was something I was surprised to see, which is basically a giant sized blunderbuss. Now, it's very simple. It talks about +1 to attack and damage rolls, doesn't require ammunition, and the damage is done by thunder rather than piercing, and it doesn't have the loading property. It talks about how to use a bonus action with it to invoke the rune. Absolutely brilliant, but with one minor flaw. At no point does it say ranges or damage. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. So you would have to go back and come up with that yourself. It feels at the minute like TSR are rushing things out. TSR, I'm showing my age now. Wizards of the Coast are rushing things out. They push them out quite quickly. I mean, we've got this has only just come out, and yet we've got the Tandoori supplement's been released. Next month we've got the Beneath Phandalin. So they are pushing stuff out at speed, and I think the quality is suffering a little as a result. So we're going to the bestiary. This forms quite a substantial part of the book. They're in the standard format. Some interesting concepts like the bag jelly, which is basically something that's learned to live in giants' bags. Various types of giant, very predictably. Yeah, some dinosaurs, because they often sort of turn up around giants. But I hate to say it with these felt a bit filler. There's nothing in there that made me go, "Oh wow, that's a brilliant idea." you know, you get different types of giants, variants of what we've already got, ones that have been infected by contact with the shadow realms. Yeah, the Shadowfall creatures, they just, yeah, it just felt a bit bland, a lot of these. Beautiful artwork. I do love the artwork. I like that some of them have little size comparisons. I think that's quite a nice idea. This was a good one, the giant goose that lays eggs, and there's a lovely sort of table for what's actually inside the golden egg. I did like that. Yeah, that was quite a nice one. The giant tick, obviously that's going to be quite a big nasty thing when you look at it for a character. Various giant creatures, Goliath giantkin, which are sort of larger versions of the Goliaths. I could have lived quite happily without the creatures. They are sort of varied. I do find though the bulk of these are sort of challenge rating 10 and up, which will probably limit them a lot. I mean, I'm currently running Storm King's Thunder, and I looked through this and there wasn't a lot that I thought, oh, I'm going to grab that and use it. It just felt that little bit, yeah. So we go through all the creatures. I did like the Troll Amalgam. That was quite a nice one, but a challenge rating of 17. I'm playing quite low level. The Troll Mutate, yeah, I might see that one. Does put the different creatures together. And sort of tells you what they are. To give you an idea, we've got 1 challenge rating a half, 3 challenge rating 1s, 1 challenge rating 2, 5 challenge rating 3, a 4, 4 5s, 3 6s, 3 7s, a couple of 8s, 4 9s, and from 10 onwards it's sort of the bulk of them. Yeah, does break them down by the type as well, so it's useful if you're sort of trying to look this up. Concept art. Yeah, okay, I'm never a major fan of that. I'd rather them developed into full illustrations, but yeah, okay, fair enough. And then we got I like this. This was a nice idea. All the adventure hooks turned into a table. There are 50 hooks scattered through the book, and you can just roll and go to it, and it sort of tells you where they are. Nice little concept. So, overall, what did I think? Well, it's glorious artwork. It is shorter than the other books. It's 192 pages. I'm just going to do a comparison. I've got Curse of Strahd with me here, which was 256. So it is significantly shorter. In fact, I've actually got another one, Storm King's Thunder, which is a classic to go with it. And just putting the two together there, you can see the difference in thickness. So you are getting less for it. There's been the row about the AI artwork, and it depends what you're after it for. If you want lots of giant type creatures, particularly for the higher level part of the game, if you want some scenario hooks and sort of giant settings, I am going to go through them and I'm going to loot some of them for use in Storm King's Thunder. It's quite good. If you're a player, to be honest, it's next to useless. There's very little for you. There is just the one new subclass and the 2 new backgrounds, a few little bits and pieces. It's not a lot from that perspective. So for me, because I'm running Storm King's Thunder, again, a lot of the sort of the background on an am and things like that is not particularly relevant. It's a lot of it sort of repeated. But if you don't have Storm King's Thunder, you just want it for the giants, I would say it gives you some background. I'm a bit of a completist. I tend to pick up pretty much everything for the Forgotten Realms, so I've picked it up. If I wasn't a bit of a completist and I wasn't running Storm King's Thunder, I probably wouldn't have gone for it. It's not the best of books. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click on the like button below so that I know what people like and I know what to make more of. Alternatively, if you've enjoyed it and think you'd like to see more, please click on the subscribe button. That way you get notified by YouTube whenever I bring out a new video, and you never know, there might be something in there that you hadn't considered, because I do cover a variety of things on the channel. And finally, if you have a little bit of cash going, I now have a Patreon account. I'm always looking for patrons, because at the end of the day, let's be perfectly honest, it's a good way for me to get a little bit of money that will use to buy review items or to travel to museums and so on. I don't put a huge amount on that. At the minute, all we've got is one tier charging £1 a month, which just, as I said, helps cover my costs. See you soon.